Hi, my name is Debs Malky, and I offer one-to-one meetings um, to explore non-duality, awakening, presence, and the recognition of our true nature. And I've been doing this now for a few years, but my career in the past has always been I was a psychotherapist in London for 20 years nearly. So it's been a smooth transition into non-duality, of course, because working with people for 20 years allows me to really meet them where they are and to really create a tailor-made approach for the uniqueness of the client. So I love this work, and I'm also writing about it, and I look forward to hearing from you if this resonates or moves you in any way. But I wanted to share a little story just to introduce myself as well. Because I was a therapist for many years, and because I don't usually make YouTube videos about non-duality, which over the last 15 years I've had many friends who have made these videos, and they make themselves known that way a lot, but I haven't done that. So people don't really know that this is what I offer. They don't know my story, my path. So the clients that I normally get and the referrals that I receive are usually from my old career, ex-clients who I used to see for therapy, or new people that have arrived through the word of mouth of my old work come to me. And so what I find fascinating is working with this kind of population, which is people that have never heard about non-duality, have never heard about awakening, about recognizing your deepest nature, and have never even heard of Eckhart Tolle, some of them, you know. And so I introduce them to what I do now. They immediately resonate with how I present it. And then we start working together. And what I've been noticing is that working with these kind of people that sort of arrive fresh to this conversation is quite different than working with spiritual seekers who identify as spiritual seekers, who have been going to satsangs and reading books and have gone to different teachers throughout the decades even. It's a very different kind of work, because when people come fresh, I notice that a lot of the time it's much quicker and easier for them to recognize who and what they really are, because they don't have those concepts and decades, you could say, of ideas and concepts and teachings, accumulated, so to speak. So I was with this client, and it was like session 4 or 5 where we were exploring, reality and exploring the nature of experience. And at one point, I literally saw in real time how his mind was starting to hook up to the idea that he had to awaken, and that he had to get this, and that he wasn't doing it right, and there was a way in which he could have been doing this better. And I literally saw the moment in which that identity of the spiritual seeker, so to speak, was bubbling up and creating itself. And I recognized in that way of thinking so many spiritual seekers that I have met and that I know, and I used to be one of them. And it's there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with anything. Everything evolves, and unfolds the way it has to. And I think that sometimes we can really get stuck in that sense of, I'm the spiritual seeker and I'm looking for awakening and it's not here yet, and there are these authorities that are enlightened and I'm not, and all of that. So I saw it happen in real time, and I don't know what got to me, but I just went, stop it, don't go there, just drop whatever it is that you're going into. And I felt like one of those Zen masters, with a stick that hit the student to wake them up. And he was sort of taken aback. I was taken aback by my response. And then I went into a little bit of a rant that I don't really remember what I said, but I remember saying something like, I am not going to allow your mind to sabotage the beauty, the immediacy, the freshness of what's happening here. And I suddenly saw a shift in his demeanor, in his energy. And this is all on Zoom. And he sort of sank into the silence for what seemed like a long time. And I was there with him. And tears started sort of flowing down his cheeks. And then he looked up at me and said, I get it. I'm tasting what this is. And we stayed silent for more. And then the session was over, and words did not seem appropriate for some reason in that moment. And we didn't need to say anything actually to each other. It was all in the silence, and there was this knowing in his eyes that didn't need to be explained. It was clear that that those kind of thoughts had been dropped, and he could see the futility of even following that mode of thinking, and that it was much closer. It was already that. It was already him. And I just wanted to tell this little story because I am so in love with the non-dual community. I've been in it and a part of it for the last 15 years, and I wouldn't be here speaking about these things without it. And I am deeply grateful for my teachers, and if they hadn't shared their understanding, it's not an intellectual one, if they hadn't been public with this, I wouldn't be here. And I also notice that a lot of spiritual seekers seem to get caught and stuck in this sort of way of living spirituality where somehow it's not there yet. And maybe the next teacher, maybe the next video, maybe the next satsang. And so this was a beautiful example of me seeing how this kind of identity was starting to solidify itself, seemingly, and in sort of, nipping it in the bud, so to speak. This beautiful human already got the taste of what he was looking for. So it's, this is just to highlight the utter simplicity of this message, and to not forget the utter simplicity of this message. And of course, it's at the same time, it can be complicated, and there's obviously different layers to this and different stages to this, but ultimately it's an incredibly simple and immediate possibility And this little story reminded me that it might be useful for people to hear this. Thank you.